They are once again the last to reveal their show concept for 2019, but we've got the inside scoop on the Bluecoats.
Can you see Mickey Mouse behind me?
Yes, he's on your left shoulder. Perfect.
Dr. Mickey, then I'm good.
Welcome to an exclusive edition of the DCI News Network. At least it's exclusive for a short amount of time, about the next hour or so, and we welcome in the program coordinator of the Bluecoats, Dean Westman. Hey, Dean.
Hey, how you doing, my friend?
I have waited long enough, and so have the drum corps fans. What is Bluecoats' 2019 production?
Well, it is called the Bluecoats, and that is, yeah, I know, mind-blowing. Really what it is we're going to be exploring something we have wanted to do for a long time, and that is the Beatles, the music of the Beatles. And the title, the Bluecoats title, is simply just a nod to their eponymous 1968 album, the White Album, which really, that was just a self-titled. I was all proud of myself. Genevieve taught me the word eponymous. It's like a great SAT word that the orchestra kids are always trying to teach me. But it was that was that self-titled album, right? The Beatles. And the fans, we named it the White Album. And so we kind of played off of that as far as the show title. But it is going to be a pretty cool exploration of four musicians and what they did to change our culture. If you think about it, I mean, we're 50, 60 years removed now from the Beatles. And if you can now step back and look at it the way we would look at, we could have a conversation like this about Leonard Bernstein or Aaron Copland or several, right? When the more time there is between, the more you can see it with a different perspective. And I think the way we see it, and probably a lot of people do, is a world that was kind of in black and white before the Beatles and went into vibrant color after them, and musically a world that was very monophonic before them. And think about the colors musically they opened our minds and eyes and hearts to and explored through their brief time together. So we're going down that road.
Wow. Will the source music be the long and winding road? Will the source music be strictly from the White Album, or will it be from all of the Beatles catalog?
We're going to cover a little bit of all of it. And, Doug Thrower pretty well. And for anybody else who knows Doug, and it's an exciting year for Doug because he's going into the DCI Hall of Fame this year, but he's also like our activities resident Beatles like professor. And, what's funny, Dan, and I was thinking about that. I was talking to John Vanderkoff today, and we were going through kind of the list of effects that I think a lot of fans would think like, wow, that's a cool signature, either musical effect or visual aesthetic. And so many of those, I'm talking about in like downside up, tilt. We're talking pitch bend type stuff. Those usually start with some Doug Thrower Beatles story. Like, hey, if you look at the 228 mark on the B side of this album, so many of our ideas come from Professor Thrower and his encyclopedic knowledge of the Beatles. And this is a show we knew we were going to go down this road as early as about this time last year. Maybe not quite, but I remember going to Texas last year, and we knew we wanted to do this because we felt like, we talk about it all the time and we use their references all the time. Let's do it. Let's go.
Visually, what are we going to see?
Well, I think that's the part I'm particularly excited about. When you take Jim Moore choreography, John's overall steering the vision of it, the set design from Michael Rayford, and then the costume design from Gregory Lagola, because they influenced fashion as well. So it's not, there's a cosmic look to it for sure. It's not a period look. It's inspired by that. But it's got a real 21st century take to it, whether it's the scenic design or what you're going to see. You'll see an element in the front ensemble that will be very Sgt. Pepper's, and I guess cosmic's the best word I can come up with. It's a trip to look at it, and it feels very now, but you can certainly get that what it's inspired by, and you'll see it how we transform in a sense from black and white. To color. And there's so many cool things. Can I give you a couple of examples?
Please.
Part of our stage design, you'll see a bunch of holes on the field. Some are three-dimensional, some are two-dimensional, but that's a play off of Yellow Submarine, the Sea of Holes, the idea of this infinite curiosity. If you remember, you have to be a certain age, I think, to remember that scene out of the movie, but we play off of that. Here's a great choreographic one that I don't know if it will ever be caught by anybody other than me, but like I got goosebumps when I saw it. When we play Blackbird, when you listen to the original Blackbird, you hear almost like a metronome clicking throughout the entire tune. Well, that was Paul tapping his foot. Huh. And he didn't want that removed from the take. He wanted that on there. Well, Jim Moore played to that. So not only did we keep that quality, but you'll see choreography underneath the beautiful Blackbird solo and soloist, where you'll see brass players just gently doing a choreographic foot tap, alluding to that subtle little moment that he wanted to capture. And so it's cool. And then one other thing I'll say from a choreographic and a costuming and kind of the synergy of all of it is you'll occasionally see some, for lack of a better term, spirit guides that kind of lead us into each different part of the show. We're trying to kind of give like the concert that, in a lot of ways, they stopped touring for a lot of reasons, right? The crowds were insane. Technology didn't allow them to do what they were hearing in their minds at Shea Stadium or wherever. There were limitations beyond technology that we wanted to take our take and say, well, here's what some of this music, if we could have done it live, here's how it could be explored. So you'll see, I'll give you two examples of these kind of spirit guides. When we get into Eleanor Rigby, look on one of the set pieces for a beautiful guard member with this parasol, just calmly walking through the energy of the drill. When we play Blackbird, which, Paul wrote Blackbird as kind of he was so moved by the story of the Little Rock Nine, right? The integration of the students in Little Rock. And that's what that song is. Back in the 60s in England, a girl was a bird. That was a term, like you would say a bird. So Blackbird, that was his way of expressing in song the emotion he felt of what those kids were going through at the time. And our soloist, beautiful costuming, and we'll have a bird cage that she'll be dancing with. So there's always that. There's that one thing that you can kind of grab, and you'll even see a Sergeant Pepper character that will show up here and there. Again, kind of just to help us capture the essence, the zeitgeist of what they were, and bring it in a 2019 way.
Are you wearing a show shirt right now?
No, no, this is my John. Isn't that great? No, my daughter's 21st birthday is this week, and when she was 16, we went to Strawberry Fields together, and I got a John Lennon T-shirt.
Okay, I saw John Lennon looking out at me. I thought maybe that was a show shirt.
Yeah, I haven't seen the show shirts, but I'll wear them. I wear the show shirts.
One last question, Dean.
Yeah.
I started this out by saying Bluecoats now have reliably come to be known as the corps that will be last to reveal their show. Okay, you're here on the DCI News Network and on Field Pass. You're getting some pub for being last. Is that why? Why do you guys do that?
I wish we were that clever. You know me well enough to know I'm not that smart. It's to live in the creative bubble with the kids as long as we can in an effort to get as much right as we can by opening day. Let me give you a great example. Most people probably don't know this, so I'm airing some dirty laundry, but the Downside Up show, Great Gig in the Sky was like ballad number 3. I mean, like literally, at the April camp, John Vanderkoff wrote an original that we tried, that we were playing with him at the late April camp. And we got together and then we're like, that's not, and John was the first to say it's not capturing the spirit of what we want that moment to be. And it was in May, it was about move-ins, or, early May when we landed on that. And, does that mean we didn't have our act together? I don't know. I mean, if we would have put out, here's our repertoire, and then now we're backtracking on it, right? Because we get there, and in reality, as opposed to hearing things in the winter in the virtual world, these virtual MP3s, when you get there, you just want it to be the best. So it's really just to create a kind of a cone of silence so that we can spend every minute getting it right. Because no matter what anybody tells you, it's harder to make changes in your show, even the planned ones, once the season starts and you're on the road. It just is. The facilities change day to day. The weather changes day to day. So we try to get, and I think we come out pretty strong every year. We try to come out really strong every year. And I think part of that is, again, we just can do our thing and not worry about, kind of like when you and I marched.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, we'd make it to the middle of the season and throw out the last half of the show and start over again when we marched. So, so Dean, we do this thing a la the Actors Studio called the Box 5 Deep Dive. 5 questions. So we really get to know Dean Westman here.
All right, Mr. Lipton, I'm ready.
All right. Box 5 question number 1. What is your favorite drum corps show of all time?
87 Santa Clara.
No hesitation at all.
Absolutely. 87 Santa Clara.
What's the best meal you've ever eaten?
Period, or in drum corps?
Period.
I would say my wife and I went to Victoria and Albert's inside the Grand Floridian at Disney. It was our 20th anniversary, and it was also right after the Bluecoats had won in 2016, and that was our gift to ourselves. And when we sat down, there was a harpist next to us, and within the first 5 minutes, they played Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Remember, I marched and taught in the Cavaliers, and this is just what it was on the set list. And then she played Sending the Clowns. Used to write for Santa Clara right after that. I looked at my wife and I said, if the harpist West is one right now, I'm out of here.
All right. Question number 3. What's your biggest pet peeve when it comes to marching music?
Oh, negativity. It's really not just I wish people, this is one thing I like about you and me, if I can say, because you asked. I like that you and I really believe that we are the biggest fans of everyone. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I say about you. I always tell you, I think you're such a great ambassador for this activity because, as Tim Lotzenizer says, you kind of wish we could all be in first place for being here in the first place. And so I wish the negativity, I know that's Pollyanna of me to be like that. But when you see some of the vitriol that goes around, whether it's whatever the topic du jour is,
the outrage of the day.
I want the members to know, at least to hear from me. I don't care what corps you are in. You will see if I'm there. I am on the sideline. You and I do this a lot together. We like to stand together at shows, and it doesn't matter who's on. I like watching young people involved in this activity, and that's all I need out of it. And somebody wins and somebody doesn't, and so I wish we could all, maybe the Beatles will help us get along better. All you need is love. Yeah. And question number 4, which is my favorite, because I don't know this about you. If you could pick some other profession to do full time, what would it be? And it can't be music related at all? Because I would love to be like the conductor of the New York Philharmonic, but that's
a little too close.
Gosh, I talk about this with my students a lot, but the way I talk about it is, thank goodness I had this, because I'd be a mime.
A mime. I would pay money.
Honestly, if I had to go do something, I just know if I had to do something else, it would be at Disney World. And I probably, Harloff and I say, like, we could be third shift shoveling, horse crap, and we'd be good. So maybe it's that, just anything at Disney, and I'll take that as my other job.
I was going to say Imagineer would be perfect for
Oh,
you.
sure. Yeah.
All right. Last question. And this is distinct from your favorite drum corps show. What's your favorite drum corps memory?
A lot there. Okay. So in 2009, that's when Ralph Hardiman and me and Daniel Wiles, Mitch Rogers we got involved with the Troopers in 2008, got them back in the semifinals that year for the first time in a long stretch. And then 2009 was the first time they had made finals. And I think it was 23 years. And that was 10 years ago this year. Hearing Brant Crocker announce them taking the field, right? You think I should talk about like a championship or a whatever, or a Vanguard or a Cadets or a Bluecoats or a Cavaliers story. But hearing Brant Crocker, I get goosebumps. Like, after a 23-year absence from Casper.
Ladies and gentlemen, after a 23-year absence, Please welcome to the field, from Casper, Wyoming, the Troopers!
Look at Dan. That gets it back to what I say about the kids, because we finished 12th. We won. You know what I mean? Like that, when you put your energy there. So yeah, that's probably has to be my number one, was hearing that iconic voice say those words to that drum corps.
And I'm going to ask you the other number 5 question, the one that has stumped everybody else so far, and that's why we threw in that softball.
Okay.
Dean Westman, you've been given unlimited money. You're going to start a drum corps. What do you name it?
I would say I would probably try to come up. Doug Thrower is not the first Canadian to go into the DCI Hall of Fame. He's the third. But he is the first alumnus of the Peterborough Crescendos to go into the DCI Hall of Fame. So I would want to maybe play off of, I don't know, maybe mine will be the Day Crescendos.
How about the glissandos?
Yeah, it would be something cooler. I'd find some string term like coleño, just to mess with people who who don't want to progress at all. I'd find out specifically the coleños. Look it up. That means with stick. So it is percussive. It's when you're hitting your violin with a stick, like the beginning of Mars from the Planets. My drum corps is called coleño.
There's more from Dean Westman about the Bluecoats 2019 production, The Bluecoats, in the Field Pass audio podcast, available from Apple Podcasts and SoundCloud.